If Saturn were dropped into the ocean, it would float. Have you ever wondered what would happen if Saturn were dropped into the ocean? Believe it or not, Saturn is so light that it would actually float. This remarkable phenomenon has been studied and discussed by scientists, and we're here to explain how and why this is possible. In this blog post, we'll explore the unique qualities of Saturn that make this possible, and discuss the implications of this incredible feat. Read on to learn more about what would happen if Saturn were dropped into the ocean. Introduction. When you think of the planets in our solar system, most likely the last thing to come to mind is one of them floating on water. But surprisingly, that's exactly what would happen if you dropped Saturn into the ocean. Saturn is made up mostly of hydrogen and helium gas and is the least dense of all the planets, which means it has a lower mass than volume. This makes it so light that, if you dropped it into the ocean, it would float rather than sink. But how is this possible? Let's take a closer look at why Saturn is so buoyant and find out why it wouldn't sink if placed in water. The composition of Saturn. Saturn is one of the most fascinating planets in our solar system. This gas giant is made up of mostly hydrogen and helium, making it incredibly light. In fact, if Saturn were dropped into the ocean, it would float. Saturn's density is around 0.687 grams per cc, which is less than that of water. This means that the gas giant would not sink in any body of water on Earth. Of course, this doesn't mean that it would be comfortable floating in the ocean. It's still made of gas, after all. However, its lightness is a testament to the power of its composition. The fact that Saturn can float on water is made more impressive by its sheer size. Saturn is the second largest planet in our solar system, with an equatorial diameter of about 120,536 kilometers. It would take a large vessel to accommodate a gas giant this size. Saturn's composition also makes it unique from other planets in our solar system. It has a much lower proportion of rock and metal than Earth or Jupiter, which means that it has a much lower mass and density as well. In fact, its hydrogen and helium make up more than 90% of its mass. This gives Saturn its ability to float, and makes it one of the most fascinating planets in our solar system. The density of Saturn. Saturn is a gas giant that has the lowest density of any planet in our solar system. It is so light that it would not sink if dropped into the ocean. This is because the gravitational pull from its core is not strong enough to counteract the buoyant forces of the water. Saturn's low density is also responsible for its incredibly large size. Despite being the sixth planet from the Sun, it has a diameter of almost 120,000 kilometers, making it the second largest planet in our solar system. Its expansive rings are also a testament to its lightness, as they are formed from dust and debris that float around Saturn's atmosphere. It's incredible to think that a planet could be so light that it would float in the ocean. With Saturn's low density, it is possible to imagine a world where this gas giant could become a permanent feature of the ocean floor, a never-ending source of mystery and wonder. The reason of its Have you ever wondered why Saturn would float if it were dropped into the ocean? The answer lies in its low density. Saturn is composed primarily of hydrogen and helium, two elements which are much lighter than water. As a result, the mass of Saturn is much less than the volume of water it would displace if it were placed in the ocean. This makes it buoyant, so that it would stay afloat if dropped into the ocean. Saturn is actually the least dense planet in our solar system, with an average density of 0.687 grams per cc. This means that it is much less dense than Earth, which has an average density of 5.51 grams per cc. Even though Saturn is much bigger than Earth, it still has a much lower mass due to its lower density. This is why it would stay afloat in the ocean, whereas a much smaller and denser object like a rock would sink to the bottom. It's also worth noting that other planets in our solar system have different densities, meaning they could have different results if they were dropped into the ocean. For example, Jupiter is the most dense planet in our solar system, with an average density of 1.326 grams per cc. If Jupiter were dropped into the ocean, it would likely sink to the bottom instead of floating on the surface like Saturn would. So next time you're wondering why Saturn would float if dropped into the ocean, just remember that it has to do with its low density compared to other planets and objects. It's an interesting concept that really shows how unique our solar system is. Conclusion. In conclusion, Saturn is an amazing planet with many unique properties. One of these properties is that it is so light that it would float if dropped into the ocean. This is due to the fact that it has a low density and consists mostly of hydrogen and helium. While other planets may sink, Saturn will remain buoyant and make a great addition to any interplanetary swimming pool. It's no wonder why Saturn has captivated the imaginations of astronomers for centuries.